Hi, my name is Andrew, and this is my code review for my CS499 capstone project. The artifact that I'm using is a Python text adventure game that I developed called Bletheria. It's a console-based fantasy adventure where the player explores rooms, collects magical items, and faces the final boss called Nosgarath the Decrepit, who's a demon warlord of the realm. The game itself represents the culmination of several skills I've learned across my degree, from programming logic and data structures to problem solving and narrative design itself. Currently, what I have so far, Bletheria runs entirely in one Python file. So it's all contained in one. It is playable and pretty fun. I did have a really good time making it, but the code structure itself is procedural and tightly coupled. So for this capstone, my goal is to transform it into a professional object-oriented Java application through different enhancements that I'm going to be going through in this code review itself. In this review, I'm going to walk through my artifact as it exists now, describe my planned enhancements, and explain how those enhancements align with my learning outcomes here, and my ultimate career goal in software and game development for the future. So the three categories I'm going to be focusing on are software engineering and design, algorithms and data structures, and databases and security. And by the end, you'll see how I plan to evolve Bletheria from a simple Python script into a modular, scalable, and secure software system. Okay, so before I jump into the enhancement plans and going over the code itself, I just wanted to show how the code currently runs in its current state. So when you start it up, it gives the very intro information, tells you about the storyline a little bit, shows you what the goal of the game is, and then kind of the outcomes that you are able to get there. And then it goes in and asks you for a name so that it has your name for the game. So I'm just going to go ahead and input Bob here. And then it gives a little bit more information here. It asks next for me to choose my attribute. So whether I'm going for wisdom or perception, and that kind of changes how the end of the game happens as well. So I'm going to go for perception. It's going to give a little bit more information on the game itself, and then it's going to throw me right into the starting level, which is the Ashen Foyer. And it's going to show that my inventory currently is at 0. Now, in order to move, I have a code in there so that it will allow me to move a direction if I put travel before the direction. So I'm going to say travel south. Let's see. Travel south. It's okay. So I end up in the acrid swamp going that direction. Still shows that my inventory is 0, but it says that I see a potion on a rotten pedestal. So I'm going to go ahead and equip the potion, and that is going to add that to my inventory by using that command there. Now, if I tried to equip again, it should already be gone from the area, so it's going to say, yeah, the potion is already in my inventory. And it'll continue on like this until you end up in the boss room. Now, the way that I have the game set up is if you get to the boss room and you don't have 6 items, you automatically lose. If you get to the boss room and you have the standard 6 items, depending on the attribute that you picked in the beginning, you will win. And then there is a secret ending that I have in there, and I used a delete code that if you select the wisdom attribute in the beginning, it'll completely delete one of the rooms from the game itself, and you can't get in there, so you can't get the secret ending. But if you choose perception, the room is still available and you can get in there, and that's just a little bit of extra that I built in there. So that's just a little bit on how the game itself runs. going into the code itself here, I want to go ahead and start talking about enhancement 1. So the first enhancement I'm going to be making is going to focus on software engineering and design. So right now, as you can see with my code itself, everything, including the game logic, the player data, and map connections, it all exists in one large Python file. There's no objects, there's no reusable classes, and functions are long and repetitive. For example, the main menu function that I got here, it has a ton of just print lines with all of the information, a couple functions here and there in order to get like choices for the perception for the attribute that you choose, and then things like entering your name and grabbing things like that. Also, the dictionary for my rooms. It's just one dictionary that holds everything in there, so not too much options when it comes to changing things. You can see it's all just in one big massive dictionary here, linking everything all together. So not too much possible in a way of adding more rooms easily, at least. And then the game itself just runs in one extremely long while loop all the way through. Again, making this extremely difficult if I ever wanted to go ahead and make adjustments, add more rooms, add more endings, add in any new equipment, things like that to the game itself. It would just be very tedious and require a lot of going through different sections to add that in. So in order to fix this, my plan is to refactor this entire code into Java, following an object-oriented architecture. And my plan really includes, 5 key classes. So I'm going to have a player class that's going to take all the player information that is included in the main definition here, where you choose your character name, your attribute, things like that. It's going to tell which room you're currently in and what is currently in your inventory, so that'll all be handled within the player class. The room class is going to take everything that I have here in my dictionary in the unfortunates and store the room names, the descriptions, the items in each room, and the exits. And then the world map class that I'm going to create is going to initialize all the rooms and build their connections dynamically, making things a little bit easier to connect, and really just make the game run a little bit smoother. And then I'm going to have a game engine class, which is going to allow me to manage player input, as well as run the main loop and route commands. So it's going to take what's in the while loop, really just the main chunk of the text-based game itself, and just run it from there. So it'll be essentially the main class there. And then finally, I'm going to have an ending resolver class, which is going to evaluate the win and lose conditions, and really determine the final cutscene, the final ending of the game, whether you get the good ending, the bad ending, or the secret ending, depending on what you do throughout the game. So with this structure, it's really going to help me, demonstrate encapsulation, inheritance, and separation of concerns, which are very much core software engineering principles that really make programs like this successful. Each class is going to do one thing super well. For instance, the room class is going to handle the exits, not inventory. And player is going to manage the attributes and not the combat logic. So each class is going to have something very particular that it's going to do throughout the program itself. I'm also going to document this using a UML class diagram, so that I can have something to visualize how each component interacts. And this is also going to help with scalability, maintainability, and collaboration. So if anybody were to help me on this in the future, anyone could read that diagram and really kind of just understand the flow of the program itself and jump in at any point. So this enhancement primarily aligns with Outcome 2 of this course, which states design and evaluate computing solutions that solve a given problem using algorithmic principles and computer science practices and standards appropriate to its solution while managing the trade-offs involved. By redesigning the game, I have created using Java's object-oriented structure. I'm going to utilize practices to build a structured and scalable system that balances all necessary attributes of a successful program. The enhancement showcases a bunch of different trade-offs in professional software development here, including designing code that will support future improvements to the program. This enhancement's also going to align with Outcome 1, which states that employing strategies for building collaborative environments that enable diverse audiences to support organizational decision-making in the field of computer science. Through the creation of architecture that is modular, clear, and organized, and document in a detailed fashion. The project allows for the possibility of, like I said, multiple developers contributing to the overall project effectively, and this allows me to align with real-world development environments where code that is structured well and readable directly supports teamwork and continued improvement to the overall program. So ultimately, it's going to mirror professional development practices and really just help me get ahead and get used to working in team projects by having multiple classes that different team members can work on. And then by refactoring Blitheria this way, I'll turn it from a one file script into truly a game system, which will be structured, testable, and truly ready for future growth. All right, so jumping into the second enhancement here for algorithms and data structures, really going to be looking at what I have set up so far. So right now in the current Python version of my code, like I said before, all connections, all rooms, everything is included here in the unfortunates dictionary, which is going to map out each room name to a smaller dictionary of exits and items. So while this works, for a smaller map like we have here, it's static and it doesn't truly scale. So every new room is going to need to be manually added and linked, making, if I had planned a future expansion or, tripling the size of the game, something like that, extremely tedious and really hard to complete. So when I port this to Java, I'm going to be using a hash map string room to store my rooms dynamically. So this is going to allow me constant time lookups. So when the player moves, the game can instantly retrieve the next room object rather than looking into the dictionary, trying to figure out where it is. It'll be a lot quicker. It's a lot easier to, kind of maintain and add to in the future. And then the player's inventory will be an array list string, which makes adding or checking for items significantly simpler in the Java system rather than, again, keeping it all in one dictionary here. So in order to improve the gameplay logic, I'm going to be implementing a breadth-first search, also known as a BFS algorithm, that will be able to power a hint command. So ultimately, players can type something like hint demon high temple, and this algorithm is going to find the shortest path through the connected rooms to get to the ending. Now, I have to see if that's something that I can, if that's just going to find the fastest route to, if there's a way to set it up where it's just the fastest route to the end, or if it's the fastest route to win. I think for ease, when it comes to this project, it'll probably just be the fastest route to the end, but finding, having two different types of hints that you can set up to find the fastest route to winning compared to just the fastest route to the end, even if that means technically losing. That might be something in the future. But just to go over quickly the pseudocode for the BFS structure, and I'm going to go ahead and show it up here now. It would be Q equals start room. While Q is not empty, current equals Q dot pop 0. For neighbor in current dot exits, if neighbor not visited, came from neighbor equals current, and then Q dot append neighbor. So this algorithm truly runs in O V plus E time, which essentially means it scales efficiently as the map grows. So it'll scale and check the map, the rooms, everything like that. It's truly a perfect example of applying computer science concepts to game-based problem solving there. And I'm going to make sure that I test this feature by building a small room network and really making sure that BFS returns the correct shortest route to get through in order to make sure that the algorithm is working correctly. In addition to showing, algorithmic prowess here, this enhancement also reflects real-world applications. The same logic powers NPC navigation, pathfinding, and even routing in networking systems. So it's already being used in the world of technology today, in video games, things like that. So when it comes to the outcomes that this enhancement truly aligns with, that is going to be majority outcome 3, which states that design and evaluate computing solutions that solve a given problem using algorithmic principles and computer science practices and standards appropriate to its solution while managing the trade-offs involved in design choices. It also will align with outcome 4 as well, which is stated as the ability to demonstrate an ability to use well-founded and innovative techniques, skills, and tools in computing practices for the purpose of implementing computer solutions that deliver value and accomplish industry-specific goals. So by enhancing the game with the data structures I plan to put in place using the BFS pathfinding algorithm, I'm directly demonstrating my ability to design and evaluate computing solutions that will apply algorithmic thought process to solving challenges through the game. This enhancement's also going to showcase my ability to use innovative techniques in order to implement industry relevant solutions for problems such as this. BFS and data structures such as maps and lists are widely used in a lot of professional game development for navigation and optimization of performance, just to make things a little bit quicker and easier. And by implementing these techniques within my project, this allows me to highlight my ability to translate, computer science knowledge into tools that are both practical and improve the overall user experience, make things a little bit smoother, make things a little bit easier, and make the program run a little bit better, ultimately. All right, so for the third and final enhancement here, which is going to focus on databases and security, the program currently has it to where all player progress exists only in memory. So whenever I close out the game, all data is immediately lost. And then once you start it back up, it starts fresh. So to make Bletheria kind of feel more like a real product, I plan to integrate a SQLite database using JDBC in Java. And this database will include 2 tables. It'll include a users table, which is going to store player usernames, unique IDs, and hashed passwords. And then I'm going to have a player state table, which is going to store the user's current room, the inventory that they have, their chosen attribute, and all linked to the user ID that they created. So here's a quick look at what that schema will look like. Quick little pseudocode here. So I'm going to have a create table users, which is going to have user ID integer primary key, username text unique, and then password hash text. And then creating a table player state, which is going to have a user ID integer, current room text, inventory text, and then attribute text. So it's going to have the necessary items there. And then this design is going to allow players to log in, save, and load their progress safely between the sessions. So it's going to create a security level as well as a way to save their data. So for security, I'm going to use hash passwords using SHA-256, and this is going to ensure no plain text credentials are ever stored. So during login, the game will hash the entered password and compare it to the stored value to protect the safety of all of my users. I'll also use a parameterized SQL queries to defend against SQL injection attacks, which demonstrates a proactive security mindset. So when it comes to the outcomes that this section will overcome, this is also going to align with outcome 4, which stated earlier is demonstrate an ability to use well-founded and innovative techniques, skills, and tools in computing practices for the purpose of implementing computer solutions that deliver value and accomplish industry-specific goals. This is also going to align with outcome 5, which states develop a security mindset that anticipates adversarial exploits in software architecture and designs to expose the potential vulnerabilities, mitigate design flaws, and ensure privacy and enhanced security of data and resources. The database enhancement I plan to create really showcases the use of well-founded and innovative techniques by creating and implementing a persistent data layer using SQLite and JDBC to manage the information of the players and the progress that they make in the game. Very widely used tools within the industry currently, and it shows practical software engineering and game development practices. By adding in the player authentication and password hashing, I'm able to show that I think in a security-based mindset that will ultimately protect my users' data and anticipate any potential vulnerabilities. This enhancement makes sure that the data that is sensitive is stored securely, aligns with current security practices, and really strengthens the reliability and integrity of the program. These improvements show professional-level database integration that aligns with the current standards in the industry. As a future extension, I could also integrate cloud storage for multiplayer or cross-device saving, ultimately expanding on scalability and concepts as well within this program. So just to wrap up here, Bletheria started as, like I said, a single file Python adventure game, but through my enhancements here, it's going to become a modular, efficient, and truly secure Java application that reflects real-world software design. The software engineering and design enhancement will demonstrate my ability to apply object-oriented architecture and modular principles. The algorithms and data structure enhancement will show that I can design, efficient solutions and apply algorithmic reasoning. And then the databases and security enhancement will demonstrate my understanding of persistent data and security-conscious design. So with all of these together, the enhancements align with all 5 CS499 outcomes, from collaboration and communication all the way through to technical mastery and security awareness, and they directly support my goal of entering the software and game development industry in the long run. In the future, I plan to expand Bletheria with a graphical interface using JavaFX, adding event-driven programming and a richer player experience, possibly porting to, mobile devices, adding in maps, things like that. But for the time being, I'm just going to try and keep it simple. But overall, thank you for watching my code review and learning more about how this project will evolve into a professional portfolio-ready capstone artifact.